If you are watching this video today, I'll hazard a guess that things are not really going that well in your marriage or relationship. And I feel for you. I understand that that's not an easy place to be in when you're worried and anxious about what might be the most important relationship in your life and one that has so much impact on your well-being. But I want to say, don't lose hope, because when you know better, you do better, right? And when you know where the issues are in the relationship, you can then course correct. So today's video about the 10 warning signs that your relationship may be crumbling is part 1 of a 2-part video series. And the follow-up video will be 9 ways to repair trust and save your relationship. So you might want to look out for that one. But for today, let's get into the 10 warning signs that your relationship may be failing and see if you can identify with any of the signs. All right, before we get going, remember to hit that notification bell and subscribe to my channel so you can be in the know when my next video on relationship mastery drops. If you are new here, welcome. And if you're a returning visitor, thank you for coming back. My name is Elizabeth Ritchie. I'm a registered clinical counselor and a certified life coach. And for many years, I've worked with individuals and couples, helping them to create more connected and joyous lives and relationships. Okay, let's dive into those 10 warning signs that your relationship might be crumbling. Warning sign number 1 is exit ramps are present and growing. What do I mean by exit ramps? Well, exit ramps are behaviors that encourage disconnection in a relationship. So that behavior may look like something like you two sitting at night watching TV on the couch, but you're both just looking at your phones and scrolling instead of having conversation and discussing things that are going on in your lives. So that could be one exit ramp. Another example of an exit ramp could be you or your partner are staying later and later at work. So there's bigger projects, sometimes there's weekend work, and it just seems like there's an avoidance of home. And so that is another exit ramp. And so you want to watch out for those things because they discourage connection, and you want to try to work to close those exit ramps down. Number 2 warning sign that your relationship could be crumbling is that you find yourself, or this could be your partner, venting to others. So you may be talking about your frustrations and worries around the relationship, and you're speaking about this to friends or family members or colleagues at work, when what you want to be doing is bringing the issue to your partner. So you want to be able to give that chance to your partner, that chance for them to help resolve the issue. Instead, if you are speaking to family, friends, and other people other than your partner, that's a sign that something's off balance there, that you're either not comfortable speaking about what's truly on your mind to your partner, you're worried about their reaction. So, that is something to reflect on and ask yourself, why am I doing that as opposed to speaking with my partner? Warning sign number 3. Warning sign number 3 is that there is tension at home, tension in the relationship. You feel tense when you're around your partner or vice versa. And that is a sense of having to walk on eggshells. When you're together, you're not sure about what you can and can't say, and you're just really not sure how your partner will react if you bring up certain topics. So there's tension there. Number 4, the 4th warning sign, kind of ties into that tension, and that's there's a communication breakdown. So because there's tension, then it's hard to communicate. You each get a little bit further apart. And so it's tough to communicate. You might be talking about like what I call procedural matters. And those are things like, oh, who's taking Bobby to soccer practice tonight? Or texting your partner to pick up milk on their way home from work. So those are kind of procedural matters where you're really not talking about the deep stuff. And so you're avoiding talking about the big white elephant in the room, which is the issues in the relationship. The 5th warning sign is defensiveness. So let's say that you have a sensitive topic you need to discuss with your partner, something that's a little bit of a hot button topic. Maybe it is the issues with the relationship and you're concerned about it and you want to talk about that. But you or your partner gets defensive, or both of you get defensive when these hot button topics come up. And so that defensiveness might look like getting angry, walking away, not wanting to continue the conversation. It can be giving you the silent treatment, which is basically stonewalling, just shutting down and having a refusal to communicate. And so that defensiveness rears its ugly head. And then what happens is the important topic doesn't get talked about, and therefore there's no resolution. And for one of you, for you or for your partner, the resentment then starts growing because there's no resolution. You've got the tension, you've got the communication breakdown, and then you've got the defensiveness. So that is number 5, the 5th warning sign, defensiveness. Okay, so we've just reviewed 5 warning signs that your relationship may be crumbling. Can you identify with any of these warning signs? Is any of these occurring in your relationship? Feel free to comment below. I would love to hear from you. Warning sign number 6. There is a lack of boundaries in your relationship, or the boundaries are unclear. So maybe one of you is a keep the peace at all costs type of person. And so there might be some, overgiving in the relationship going on. And you're trying to do, or your partner's trying to do, depending on the situation, whatever you can just to keep the relationship limping along. But the issue with that is that it might work in the short term, but over the long term, it leads to a whole host of other issues like resentment and frustration and a feeling of hopelessness. And so then the relationship just peters out. So that's number 6, lack of boundaries or unclear boundaries. All right, warning sign number 7. There is a lack of vulnerability in the relationship. And this also ties into the number 4, communication breakdown. So the great thing about healthy conflict is that when it's done in the right way, expressed in the right way within a relationship, you end up sharing your hurts, your fears, your hopes, your dreams, your worries. So you're sharing at a very deep level with your partner, and that is what being vulnerable is. Instead, if you are lacking vulnerability in a relationship, you're not sharing your true thoughts and feelings. And what may be happening instead is people are shutting down, they're stonewalling, they're giving the silent treatment, they're getting defensive, which I talked about earlier. And all those things, what they do is they just sort of close off, they pinch off that path to true connection. So you want to have vulnerability in a relationship. If you have a lack of vulnerability, then that's something to look at, something to work. Number 8 is not taking responsibility. So either you or your partner or both of you are unwilling to take responsibility for your actions. So maybe your partner has caused you some hurt, some pain, and instead of apologizing and taking responsibility for the situation and trying to make changes, your partner becomes defensive or angry or shuts down. And so there's no real willingness to listen to, say, your pain, your experience, to validate what you went through. And therefore it leads to you feeling more disconnected from your partner. There's just, your partner shutting down and not taking responsibility, there's no exploration of solutions. So the other aspect to that, though, is that if there's too much emotional dumping on one person, so constantly sort of venting on one person without any regard to their feelings and how they're taking that information, then that's also a sign that things are off kilter in the relationship. So warning sign number 8 is failure to take responsibility for. Warning sign number 9 that your relationship could be crumbling is that there's a lack of trust. And of course, the lack of trust that ties in with number 7, the lack of vulnerability. So due to previous arguments, situations, previous hurts, poor communication, the trust between the two of you, it's eroded over time. And so say if you've got a partner who's on their phone a lot, kind of keeping their phone from you, not wanting you to see messages, then the trust is not going to be there between the two of you. And same with if you feel like, oh, I want to take their phone and I want to check the messages and I'd like to put a tracker on the phone and see what they're up to. Well, that's a clear sign that there is trust issues in the relationship. And that is something that you want to look at and get working on. Okay, our last warning sign, number 10, that your relationship might be crumbling is that there is contempt. So contempt is present in the relationship with both of you or one of you. And the definition of contempt is that a person or a thing is beneath consideration, worthless, or deserving of scorn. Now, that is a pretty rough definition, and that would be very challenging if it is occurring in a relationship. So if you were the one who was getting scorn heaped upon them, or contempt, or you were the one doing the scorning and were contemptuous, that is a real challenge for a relationship, and it can be a relationship killer. So, how do you tell if contempt is present in your relationship? Well, one way you could tell is, I'll give you an example. So let's say there has been dirty dishes that have been left on the counter and not put in the dishwasher. And so one partner says to the other one, can't you even get your dirty dishes into the dishwasher? You are always leaving the dirty dishes on the counter. You're such a lazy slob. Can't you clean up after yourself? So there's a lot of contempt in that statement. Whereas you could have a more gentle approach and say, I noticed that you left your dirty dishes on the top of the counter and you haven't put them in the dishwasher. And when I see them there, it makes me feel more overwhelmed because I feel like there's already so many tasks around the house and I've just cooked dinner. And I would really appreciate it if you could put your dirty dishes into the dishwasher so I don't have to do it. So you see the difference there? One is very scornful and harsh, and the other one is very gentle and is more about how I was feeling and making a request. So if you think you've got contempt in your relationship, then you want to get to work on dissolving that ASAP. Okay, my friend, there you have it. You have the 10 warning signs that your relationship or marriage may be crumbling. Now, I did mention in the beginning of the video that this is part 1 of a 2-part video series, and the follow-up video is 9 steps to rebuilding trust and saving your relationship. So watch out for that one. And if you would like more support, be sure to check out our Facebook group, Revitalized Relationships for Women. The link is below. And you could also consider booking a discovery call with us. And that's complimentary, and you can see if maybe the Revitalized Relationships online program for women may be right for you. If you got good value out of this video today, be sure to give the video a like, subscribe to the channel, and then you'll be next in line when my next video on relationship mastery drops. See you next time.